You know the exact moment. You're standing in the kitchen, you lock eyes with your cat, and watch as they slowly, deliberately slide a full glass of water right off the edge of the counter. When that glass shatters on the floor, it's almost impossible not to take it personally. We look at that calculated stare and assume the act is driven by pure spite, as if they woke up and chose to vandalize the house. But projecting human morality onto an animal creates a blind spot. What's happening inside your cat's brain in those 3 seconds before the drop is a mechanical evaluation of physical resistance and movement. So, what is the biological engine driving this specific, repetitive behavior? Consider the modern living room. It is a static environment where furniture doesn't move and food arrives on a reliable schedule. But the complex feline brain actually evolved for a highly unpredictable natural landscape, where their very survival required constant active investigation. Domestic cats retain 100% of the predatory and survival hardware of their wild ancestors. They are wired to spend up to 80% of their waking hours tracking and stalking their prey, chasing and pouncing on targets, and solving puzzles in their environment. To change the behavior, we have to look past the domestic annoyance and recognize that we are actually living with an apex investigator who is currently starved for sensory data. In the wild, a cat survives by interrogating unfamiliar objects. Their brain needs to determine if an item is prey, a threat, or simply inanimate. While humans use hands to pick up and inspect objects, a cat uses the paw swipe as their primary tactile tool. It allows them to test the weight, texture, and mobility of an object without committing to a full attack. Because the average home lacks moving prey or natural mysteries, a water glass sitting on the edge of a counter becomes the only available subject for this investigative instinct. That tap on the glass satisfies a biological requirement for information. It tells the cat exactly how the object responds to force and whether it will provide a reaction. And the results of that test are immediate. Gravity takes over, the glass falls, and the silence of the room is broken by a sudden, chaotic crash. For an animal designed to monitor environmental shifts, that crash represents a significant surge in stimulation. It is a massive spike of sound and movement in an otherwise quiet day. But the cycle doesn't lock in until step 3. Looking at this flowchart, we can see the path from swipe to shatter, significant surge in stimulation. It is a massive spike of sound and movement in an otherwise quiet day. But the cycle doesn't lock in until step 3. Looking at this flowchart, we can see the path from swipe to shatter, but the loop is completed when the human comes running into the room, yelling and waving their arms. We think we are punishing the behavior, but cats do not process volume as a moral correction. To a bored predator, your sudden, loud arrival is simply high-value stimulation. By reacting dramatically, you accidentally validate the experiment. You provide the exact reward the cat was searching for when they first reached for the glass. This pattern follows a basic principle of behavioral psychology. An action that consistently leads to an engaging result will be repeated. Your reaction teaches the cat a new rule of physics. Pushing this specific object acts like a remote control that manipulates the room and summons their owner. Because the result is reliable and provides a break from boredom, the feline brain categorizes the action as a survival tactic worth repeating daily. Every time you run into the room to scold them, you complete a training loop that rewards the destruction of your things with the exact attention they were hunting for. To break the cycle, you have to change the human variable in the cause and effect equation. The next time an object hits the floor, provide no reaction. Absolutely no yelling, no sudden movements, and no eye contact. Clean up the mess in silence. Withholding the dramatic response starves the behavior of the sensory reward it was designed to achieve. When the remote control stops working and the experiment consistently yields zero stimulation, the cat's motivation to repeat the behavior begins to fade. However, removing the reward is only half the fix. The underlying drive to investigate and problem solve is biological, and it still requires an outlet. This schematic shows the mechanics of a puzzle feeder. By using hidden compartments and winding tracks, you force the cat to forage and solve physical problems to reach their food. Making a cat work for their meal satisfies that 80% hunting drive. It replaces the thrill of a falling glass with a constructive challenge that tires them out. Aligning your cat's environment with their predatory drive replaces the cycle of destruction with the specific mental challenges they need to stay calm and keep your countertops safe.